What's up, y'all? Welcome to BeThe1 podcast. This is Marquan Jones, back again for the fourth episode. This is your boy Brian Morton.
Yes, sir.
I'm just jump straight into it today. We're gonna talk about boundaries and just very important things. I don't really have to break it down to y'all, but the most important one is trauma. And me and Brian was having a conversation and discussion yesterday on the phone about how we're even traumatized, like, because we was at the gun range and where were we? In Kansas with his dad. We were shooting, and that's my first time being around that many shots since I was in the streets. But it was like very paranoid. Like when I first got in there, it was okay. But as it got on, like my anxiety was building, and I don't get anxious or anything like that, but I was getting anxious and I started like kind of shaking inside because the last time I heard shots like that was when I was in the streets. Every loud pop I heard was when the pop I heard when Wesley got shot, So that always is a reminder to me. So I was just realizing like, yo, this is what we're going to speak on, B, but I'm realizing we're traumatized too because I had to get out that environment, just how you deal with the trauma. And today we just want to tell y'all about how to deal with that. How we got to where we did. We didn't use our trauma, to let us collapse. It built us up. Most importantly. So we're gonna let B explain it a little bit and we're gonna keep diving and digging deeper for y'all.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good topic for everyone to listen to do their own research and a deep self-reflection to see what past experiences that I went through that is having an effect over my life. Like me growing up, I grew up seeing my mom get physically abused. So that may have effect on my relationship with other women, or it may affect how my own relationship with my own mom. So I think it's very key for everyone to do that self reflection to see, okay, maybe I went through this and that's why I act the way I do. Or maybe I seen this and that's why I think the way I do. So the best way to grow and the best way to become that person that God called you to be is to know why you do what you do. Because the first step is to be aware, right? So the first step is to be aware. You can't change. We can't change if we're not aware of what's going on. And on the flip side too, I think what's more personal to me, I feel like I want to be aware of not placing trauma on other people. Like, because I had a bad past where I committed adultery multiple times, slept with multiple women, where I had girlfriends. So that's trauma that I may be placing on other people. So I think there's two sides of that coin. But I think when I was looking up the definition, you probably know it. It was saying trauma is like a
disturbing experience.
Yeah. A disturbing experience or a feeling, right? So trauma it's very tricky because it affects you not just physically but mostly spiritually. Like it affects your whole being, and I feel like it's a topic that's not really talked about. So I'm very curious of what made you get into the word trauma, the whole like aura of trauma.
Because for me, just growing up, as you guys know, like I'm always gonna preach my testimony. Y'all gonna hear it a million more times, and fact number one is that I was traumatized, at an early age, at a young age. And that's why I was making a lot of decisions I was making. When Wesley died, I didn't change immediately. Like I keep telling people that, people thinking it was just like a flip. No, like for a year after that, like I think worse stuff than I did before he died. But I ended that quick. That phase was like, it was strong. God didn't have control over me. I was the devil's kid at that moment because I was a young kid. Like, how could this happen to me? Somebody I trusted, first of all, is the one who pulled the trigger, even if it was accident or whatever. So I was mistaken. So people think that when I talk about my testimony and Wesley, I'm like, bro, the hardest thing was not seeing Wesley die. The hardest thing was for me getting out the streets and all the people that was betraying me. Like, bro, that hurt it. Like to this day, they see me. Like some of them see me, and they want to say what up. They say what up, but they have a bad feeling because they feel bad because they see the growth I have now. They like, wow, we treated Queasy like this, but this is where he was called to be. A lot of us are aware of things, but we run from it. You cannot run from it. Like, I did not run from the truth at all. Like, I knew I was a bad kid. I knew I was disrespecting my mom. I knew I was doing what I wasn't supposed to be doing. And to flip the switch a little bit, so like, trauma, man, it's crazy growing up. That's why I love mentoring these young men, because growing up, like, dudes do it. Like, I'm being super bold and super transparent with y'all today, because that's what I feel like. Today, I want to talk about my faults. I want to talk about the weaknesses and the mistakes I made. I want to teach y'all in the midst of this too, but I want to tell y'all about how you get from here to here. Like, for real, with full consistency and being real and honest with yourself. Like, I've been having many discussions with people about don't lie to yourself. Like, that's the biggest factor in being successful. Once you stop lying to yourself, the road gets so much easier. It's still going to be harder, but you're going to be like, wow, like, this is all I had to do. You see lying won't get you nowhere, so you got to start telling the truth now. Like, for real, lying don't get you nowhere. And for me, when I was younger, and a lot of my homies can attest to this, a lot of dudes watching this can attest to this, when we was younger and we would go have sex with multiple women, and more girls, and we would wonder why they catching feelings for us. Like, when we was younger, that's what we was doing. We was saying, why you like me now? And we would be saying the females is tripping. No, they not tripping. We tripping. You know what I'm saying? Because sex is it's a very powerful thing. So as a man or woman, when you do that, make that connection with them on that level, you should not complain about how they feel, because people's feelings are valid at that moment. They feel that way for a certain reason. I used to misguide women, used to mislead women, tell them like I like them, but knowing deep inside, like I was only lusting for them. Like, just being real, that's how it was. So that's trauma. We put that trauma in women. You put that trauma in men, and you got to deal with that and take accountability. So that's why I don't play about that stuff these days now, because I learned from a younger age. Like, I'm glad, like, I got taught at a young age. Like, I literally hate this. I hate seeing grown men still doing that, thinking it's cool going to brag about who they messed with. Like, bro, for real, you should be trying to go start a family. You 28 years old. Like, real talk, that's what life is about. Like, we build, we unitize, and we help people. So with women, like, I'm big on how, like, when I was in a relationship one time and I didn't understand women. So what I did, I started listening to female music. I was like, because they can all be complaining about the same thing for no reason. They all saying the same thing. So I want to know what they talking about. So I started listening to female artists, and I'm like, wow, when I was in a situationship with this person, she repeated that 100 times. But my pride and my liabilities and character, it told me, like, ignore that. She tripping. That's what we do as young men and young women. We do that. Like, I think it's so weird that people only meet up and they give people all this time. They give them all this attention just to know. And they know deep inside that they only want sex from them. Like, that's the most bogus thing to me. That's the most bogus thing you can do to somebody. You waste 2 years or 6 months or even one day of somebody's life knowing that you only lusting for them. So, and that's on you. You got to break that. Like, for real, bro, that's not cool at all to me. And, trauma is a great thing, because I call it a great thing because the same reason people use stuff as an excuse to be a failure, the same reason people use stuff to be a success. You know what I'm saying? I'm a walking testimony in that. And I will continue to preach that forever. Like, for real, it's either right and wrong. You got to have great discernment. And that's how you go to another level.
That's dope. I really like how you flip that around. You said trauma is a great thing. I'm like, dang, wow. I was very interested in that. Like, but that definitely makes sense. If you can use your trauma that you've been through to use that to catapult you to be a successful person, or just be a overall better person, I mean, then you can arguably say that trauma in your life was a good thing. But I think you were talking about a real deep problem or challenge in our community, and which is lust, and not love over love. And I think me growing up, for me and a lot of people, that is the biggest trauma, or that's the most common trauma that's being placed on people
Mm-hmm.
is by us men sleep around with other women. I
Mm-hmm.
think, I mean, it's not very often that somebody see their best friend get shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very often that somebody see their mom get abused, but it's very, very often that where guys, or men, or young boys sleep with multiple women. And
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, like, what is the root? Like, where did that come from? Of it being cool
Like, who made that cool? Like, I want to know who tried to
to,
make that cool,
yeah.
man. Like,
I don't know where it come from, but I mean, I was a product of that. But
we all
I'm
were.
trying to think, like, where did I get it from? I don't know if I get it from the people I grew up looking up to, or what. But I know by me having a daughter, I really changed a lot how I view women, and even to this day, I think, like, I always try to think about, like, what made me think like this, what made me want to act like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I started to kind of figure out is how I view a woman or a female when I first see her, right? So if I view
Wow,
her
powerful.
as an object of my pleasure, then I'm gonna do whatever to be satisfied. Uh, I do whatever to satisfy my own
Your
desires,
pleasure. Yeah.
yeah, or pleasures, and that can be at the expense of her emotions, right? Her feelings, her life. A lot of times, a female can, like, you know what I'm saying, fall deep in love, and you only using her for 2 seconds or however long you want to use her
You
for.
think
But
she your toy? She not your toy, bro.
yeah, like he said, he thinks you're a toy, and I think it all goes down to the perspective on how you view women. And in a good book, the Bible, we was talking about that, and you really kind of put a life jewel in me. You was talking about how Jesus is seeing others as brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the best way to combat that view, that perspective, that lens that you see the world through, is to view people as your brother and your sister. So if you view that beautiful female as a sister, you won't, you know what I'm saying, have those
The same
lustful,
amount of temptation. Yeah.
yeah, you won't have lustful thoughts, and it definitely helps. So for all the fellas out there that are looking to change and are wanna, you know what I'm saying, wanna grow, because if you're doing the same thing at the age 25 that you're doing at 15,
Mm-hmm.
then there's something wrong, and maybe that can go back to the trauma in your life where you probably grew up with without your mom, or you probably grew up with your mom but she wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? So it's always very different variables that can be in effect in the situation, but it all go back to self-reflection and into take a break, take a day to look back at your life and see, okay, and ask yourself, why do I act the way I act? And that's something I do daily. That's something I do every week, because to be successful or to be the best version of yourself, that's what we always preach, is to be. We want to help people to be the best version of themselves. And the only way you can be the best version of yourself is if you know yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you don't know yourself, then how can you be the best version of yourself? So, I mean, that's definitely my advice to everybody is to take a day, take 10 minutes to just think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, where did I come from? What did I go through? And why do I act the way I act? So
Mm-hmm.
that's my advice to everybody out there.
Yeah. So, man, what he's saying about, what did you say, bro? Because the video I did yesterday, 2 days ago, where I was outside studying, and I keep dwelling back to what you said about who you look up to,
Mm-hmm.
whoever you look up to, your leadership can be tainted based on
Yeah.
that. So for me, in the streets, my leadership was tainted. Like I always tell y'all, I was a leader in 2011. I just didn't have courage. I didn't have the right guidance. Nobody showed me the correct way. So my leadership was tainted at that moment. When it wasn't tainted, when I started hanging around Brian, that's when it started to sharpen and get higher every day. Because the Bible says iron sharpens iron every day.
Proverbs.
Yeah, that's the book of Proverbs, and the Bible also says the lips of the righteous nourish many. So when I start speaking different things, like Brian told me, like I'm gonna start saying 10 power words a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's phenomenal. Like I've never heard nobody say that. Like start saying 10 specific words that you think will help you manifest the life that you want, and that will help you a lot. So also what he was saying about self-reflection, like, bruh, every day, like I always tell this, I say this often, but the best way you can help somebody else is being a better version of yourself.
Facts.
Like I
Facts.
say, and that's waking up, studying, reading, writing, doing whatever you gotta do, reflecting, knowing what you gotta fix when it's time to go out in front of people, because you don't know who you are until a hard situation comes. Like I could sit here and preach leadership and preach self-discipline all day, but if I'm in a crowd and somebody disrespect me and then I react in a way where I know I'm not supposed to be acting, like, do you see leadership in that? That's not leadership. Like I was having a discussion with a certain individual and I'm just like, yo, they talking way more than they listening. And people think for me being a speaker, like I talk a lot. I don't. I'm still real chill. I'm still real quiet. And I realized like I've been a leader. I've been like talking when I was younger, but God told me he was like, you just like saying something when you spoke. You didn't like gossip even when you was in the streets. Like I was always saying something. Like that's why people always get an uncomfortable feeling sometime around me, people who have negative spirits, you know, because a good spirit will irritate people's demons. Like you see it come out of a lot of people. I always talk about how people tell me like you too inspirational. You need to sometimes tone it down. And I'm just like, no, you need to tone it up sometime. Like all that negativity not getting you nowhere. Like it's a million to one, negative to positive. Like the world has made it seem like it's something wrong with being positive. Like, yo, that's very whack to me. That's very whack. Like it's okay to disrespect women and, you know, fight, shoot, and listen to the dumbest of music, you know, that's not feeding your soul or providing you the right nourishment to give you substances to be better, but you still doing it every day. But once somebody come around with some gospel music, you tripping. You uncomfortable. You don't want to hear it. You know why? Because when I was in the streets, I realized, I'm like, bro, we're not gonna go right up and do a shootout if we playing gospel music in the car.
Nah.
We're not gonna do it. The only reason people do it is because they listen to Chief Keef, they listen to Chicago music, negative music that's talking about guns and fighting. Look at the parties we used to be in. Nuck, If You Buck. When that song came on, what everybody feel like doing? Fighting. When Chief Keef, I Don't Like came on, who they start thinking about? Their enemy. It's time to fight. You know what I'm saying? But when we play gospel, them thoughts start coming in that you've been running from for a long time. So people ask me what I listen to. I'm like, bro, I listen to instrumentals and gospels all day. Motivational stuff. All day. Like, that's it. You know? And it's not the fact that I'm trying to be perfect, but I want to be as perfect as I can be every single day. Every single day. We never going to live up to that perfect expectation. But for me, I expect being, you know, giving that day my all day. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's crazy how the world make it seem like it's something wrong with it. Like, I just don't get that thought. And that's something that got to change too, and it start with you. So I want to dwell back on because I'm not done being super transparent about myself first.
Oh yeah.
I want to dwell back on the crew.
Oh yeah.
If you watching this and you local, you know about the crew, how childish we were. But what a lot of people didn't know, we wasn't holding ourselves accountable. You know, we had all those things. We was messing with a lot of girls. We was the popular ones when we came in public. You know what I'm saying? As far as girls, like, that was our biggest downfall.
Yeah.
That was our biggest downfall. We misguided and brought trauma to a lot of women.
A lot of
women, like, being real. Until we hit that stage, it was like, yo, this not what's up. I can't say that for everybody, but that's just the truth. And we thought that was cool. Like, people thought we was cool just because of that. I'm like, nah, we get to this stage. I'm like, bro, we was really losers. Like, that was a loser mindset. Like, for real.
We was deceived. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, we was super deceived, bro. Like, because we was living in such a moment where people have this mindset of saying yellow. But yellow, when people say you only live once, what society make it seem like? Go drink, smoke, go party, have fun. I'm like, bruh,
you only live once,
I'm gonna dominate. I'm gonna do it right. Like, I'm gonna dominate every second I can. Like I was saying, bro, I hate going to sleep, bro. Like, I hate going to sleep. So that's why Brian have so much of a struggle with me waking up like early, because I go to sleep late because I hate going to sleep. Like, I do. Like, that's something I really dislike. Like, I wish I could just stay up 24 hours sometimes and dominate every second of my life. But I know that sleep is vital, and sleep helps you have fresher thoughts the next day, and all of that stuff that you downloaded the day before, it downloads deeper when you're asleep and you wake up. That's how muscles grow. That's how the brain capacity grows, you know. And I just learned that, so I'm trying to deal with that.
Yeah, that's called being aware. You talking about, like, you can't change until you're aware of the challenge or the problem. Then that's called having wisdom to know, okay, I need to go to sleep so I can have this. So, like, A lot of people don't do stuff because they see it as giving up something. I don't want to stop smoking. I don't want to stop drinking because I don't want to give it up. No, we should stop doing what we should stop doing because we want to gain something better, right? So say if I stop going out, I gain more family time with my family. I gain a beautiful relationship with my wife. You know what I'm saying? So like we're
Big
not,
amen.
yeah, we're not losing. Like we're not losing, and it's all about perspective. And I think that's a key word. I mean, that's a power word, perspective.
Yeah.
So
Perspective. Yeah.
if you're in your daily life and you hear yourself constantly say perspective, that means you're living a certain type of life, right? Because low quality people don't say that word a lot. Only high quality people say perspective a lot because that's a power word. And it go back to the yellow. You only live once. And I think why I say it's all about perspective because you have a group of people who says you only live once and they use that to drink, party, and smoke. Then you have another group of people who say yellow, and then they use that to grind, to work hard. Cause they saying, man, I only live once. I gotta make it. If I got one time, make it my best chance. And I think that's majority of the world. A lot of people like it's the same phrase, but it's your perspective that controls how you live. And that's why that's a power word. And that's why it's so important is to have to have a good perspective, right? A positive perspective, the right perspective, like how he just Marcon was just saying. When we was in high school, the crew we were sleeping with. If you told it, man, it's a high number. But that's a high number of women that we place trauma on, are you know what I'm saying, had place our their emotions, our women. To be honest, in the Bible, take it a little back, take a little spiritual a little bit. When you have sex with somebody, you are spiritually linked to that person. So all them girls that we was having sex with, we are spiritually linked with them even to this day because that your spirit never dies; it lives on forever. So there is no such thing as YOLO. That is a world phrase. So for those that know that, but we put trauma on all those women, right? So we was deceived. We had a young boy perspective, right? But once we got older, I don't think age brings maturity. I don't think age brings maturity because there's a lot of young men out there. I mean, young boys who like men, but they're really not. They're doing the same thing since they was doing when they was in high school. But that's because they had the same perspective. Their perspective of women never changed. They only see them as tools and as toys, or however they want to see them. And it all connects. And like how like today I was on the phone with my friends who's he's in the financial industry as well, and he said it's a small world. And I was thinking like, dang, it is a really small world. And then going back to our conversation, it's a small life. Everything connects, right? Like he was talking about being the seed, right? And we was deceived in high school when we was as a crew sleeping with a lot of women, right? So the whole life cycle is connected some ways somehow. But the real challenge, I mean not the real challenge, but the real goal is to be on the right side when that times comes. So and that's why we're here. We're here to inspire people to be the best version of themselves. And it's a daily process. Like I'm not perfect. I mean, I still have a lot of flaws, and I'm very transparent because I know that at the end of the day, that only God decision matters. And like we was in Kansas, I was talking about when we let Al be. I was like, a lot of people try to impress other people, but they don't try to impress the person that matters the most. Like I try to impress my family, my dad, my parents, my wife, my kids, all that. But at the end of the day, they're not gonna judge me. Like the person who's gonna judge me
They're gonna die just like you.
You're gonna die just like me. So I definitely work on your perspective, right? And one of something that somebody that I like and I learn from is so to Marquand Stephen Covey. He said that we don't see the world as it is, but we see the world as we are, right? So we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. So if I'm negative, if I have a negative personality and my cars, my car lose a flat tire, right? Say my car lose a flat tire. I'm gonna see the world as it's attacking me.
Mm-hmm.
Can't nothing go right, man. Like life sucks. But if I have a positive personality, I might see it as God allowed my tire to get flat because if I would drove in my car, I'll probably got in a car accident,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just having a perspective on life, and I think I love that quote. It's like we don't see the world as it is, but as we are. So
Mm-hmm.
we all need to work on perspective and be very self-aware of who we are becoming. Because like I said before, age don't come with maturity. Like
Mm-hmm.
today, we could still be sleep around with girls in high school. 'Cause I know we both know a lot of people who we grew up with still doing that.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't changed at all.
And I want to say that, bro, the biggest thing I hate is that society make it seem like it's okay for dudes to be doing all that with women. But if a woman even have half of that, like what a dude is doing, it's like, whoa,
Shit, definitely a hoe.
they knock her down. They persecute her. They ridicule her. Like they don't cut her no slack. But dudes be like, no, it's okay. I'm a dude. Nah, bro, it ain't okay for you either.
Mm-hmm.
You just as worse and as a unself-loving person that she is. So you get no slack, bro. Like you got a problem too. Moral of the story, y'all both got issues and y'all need help. So we talk about trauma. Yo, so I want to touch a little bit more deeper into talking about how I teach my students too, and how much I learned from just being a teacher, because when you take on roles in life and you overseeing people, I realize like God be telling me like you probably gonna learn more than they learn. Like you teaching them. Like I teach them a lot of stuff that I didn't even teach myself. I find myself doing that as I would just, reading my notes before the podcast started and everything. But I have all my students are my favorites, but like when I first started the class, like I came in, I hit them straight in the mouth from the get-go. And I'm just like, yo, tell me what you think your purpose is. Tell me 3 facts about you that you think the world should love about you. And these are 7th through 12th graders. So a lot of them never thought like this. So when I introduced that question to them, they were just like starstruck, so they couldn't, at first, a lot of them couldn't say, but one student named Seth, he was like, yeah, my dad named me Seth because he hoped that when people hear my name, they would call on the Lord again.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a 13-year-old kid saying it. So don't tell me that your perspective can't be bigger and you're 25 years old, And I also have another student and she stated that she's 15. She stated that she's been dealing with depression since she was 12. That's trauma. Like that's what we talking about. But she has courage, right? Because she told me that like she could have hid it. She been having suicidal thoughts since she was 12 and she's only 15. But, and the crazy thing is too, it show you that valuable possessions and abundance doesn't matter because she's one of the best track stars in the country, in the entire country. She's a sophomore and has an offer from half of the schools in the country already and is getting looked at by probably all of them. So that tells you all that other stuff doesn't matter if your soul ain't in the correct place. If your emotions aren't in check. And I had another student tell me like he was new. He came late, like a couple weeks late to the class. And I told him, like, tell me some things about you that we should know. And he just went off. He was like, yeah, my mom always is drunk. She spends all our rent money on liquor. Like, that's trauma. And I see it because he comes in class with the rudest attitude, and it takes a while for me to calm him down and, to have a lot of patience with him. Like, I don't react in the wrong way, but I just realized, like, man, he has a broken home. I could see it on kids' face as soon as they walk in, Because when the class first started, I had 6 students in each class. And then it's growing to 15 in each class. It's because the kids that were in there, they recruited their friends because they told them, like, you have to come in this class. Mm-hmm. Because they never have conversations like this. The girl who says she's been dealing with suicidal thoughts since she was 12, I have a female mentor in my class, and she stated that she went and asked the school staff, it's Sexton High School, she went and asked the school staff, like, have such and such been telling y'all about her suicidal thoughts? And the staff, man, it was the worst reply ever. They stated that, wow, you talking about such and such, she's so dramatic, don't listen to her. And I was just like, are you serious? Like, this is why little kids commit suicide. They feel like it's something wrong with them having emotions. Like, adults act like when they get older, that life just stopped for them a lot of the time. Like, I see it in the schools. Like, these adults just act like they perfect, when sometimes these 11 and 10-year-olds is going through way more than you ever will go through. You know the pressure of saying, like, a kid coming to you saying they stressed out, and then an adult told them, like, you can't be stressed out, you so young. How many times you hear that, bro?
A lot.
We hear that a lot, like, in society. They act like kids can't go through nothing. And when a kid try to tell them, or like say a parent is wrong in a debate with their child, if the child talks back and is correct, and he is correct or she is correct about what their mom was saying wrong, the dad, they like to say they talking back, so they give him a whooping. Like, that's not talking back. That's being transparent and correcting you. So as a parent, if you ever become a parent watching this, take a different approach with your kids, because that's very traumatizing. When your son or daughter has a thought and they're correct, but you only see your way, and you feel like because they're younger than you that they can't have a thought or opinion, that's bogus. That's trauma. You planting small seeds that you don't even see. So correct that, and take it to another level.
Yeah, that's like walking on eggshells.
Yeah,
man.
you a kid, you can't say nothing, bro.
Yeah.
Like man, for you know how many times I got that, like when I was in the streets, and teachers didn't know I was in the streets. They was like, what could you possibly be going through at the age of 15? What?
Yeah.
Like, I was going through then what you would ever go through in your life. Like, I was coming to class, bro, and they didn't realize, like, I would come to some classes, like some of my favorite teachers, Miss Petrov, I would say her name, Miss Petrov, she loved me. I was so innocent to her, but I'm just like, yo, she looking at me like this, and she don't realize when I get out of here, like, it's on in the streets. Like, it's war. Damn. Like, halfway war, bro. Like, even at the age of 15, I'm having other gangs, older dudes from other gangs across town, like, saying, yeah, you a young JGMer. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's who I roll with. They like, yeah, you better duck. Like, at the age of 14, 15, having 20, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds telling me this. Like, it was really gutter. So I can't stand when people are fraudulent. Like, man, just be you, bro, because you don't want that kind of life that's drawn to you. Just ain't nothing wrong with being different, man. You don't got to go through a lot to, be a great person in life. Like, society has also tried to make it seem like you got to go through something to have a certain role.
Right.
Like, you got to have a traumatizing story. Like me, you don't. You don't. So that's what you see a lot of suburban kids try to fit in like that. I'm like, bro, like, that's great you were raised like that. Like, you had everything, It's probably not great that they gave you literally everything, though. But because when I have my child, he's not going to be spoiled like that. He going to learn. Like, if he want $10, I'm like, give me 20 push-ups. You're going to have to work for this. You know what I'm saying? Just give him that mindset from the go. So when we was in high school with all the Grand Ledge and other kids, what was they saying, bro? They was trying to be like us. Like, you know how many kids, suburban kids are coming up to me like, I want to be JGM. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, you don't know what this requires.
Yeah.
So this was like from the get-go. So we talk about trauma. We had trauma when DeMarcus died, bro. When Weez died, that's what JGM started for. When he died, he died, it started a whole gang, which tore the whole city up, and then led to Wesley, and then lead to this. So that's why I named my company Just Get Footage, because our gang was called Just Get Money. So I wanted to turn a negative into a positive. That's all you got to look at it with. You got to look at it that way, you know? Same way people used to be a failure. People used to be success.
Right. And I actually like that kind of a slogan, if you use the right way. Like, just get money. Like, skip all the BS, just get money. Skip sleep on other girls, just get money. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you use it in the right way, I mean, it can be a positive thing. I know for me, like, that helps me a lot. Like, when I want to drink or smoke, or do anything that I used to do that I still struggle with. I still have the struggle desires. It's just
you always will.
Yeah, I think God gave me more of a spirit to overcome it, and it's a daily process. But one thing that helped me with it is my passion for business and finance. Right, so I know that I came out here buying these bags of weed and other stuff because I know it costs money, right? So I think my passion for just to get money, it stopped me from doing a lot of stuff that I used to do that I shouldn't do. So and then I go back to perspective. Like, I don't know that word keep popping up in this podcast. Perspective. We need to have it written across the screen for perspective. And I go back to perspective. Some people use just to get money as perspective to go rob, to go steal, to go do criminal acts because they saying it's just to get money. Me, I use it as I'm not gonna do that stuff. I'm just gonna be focused and I'm just gonna get to the money, right? So it's just all about perspective. I really liked what you said. It wasn't why you said what's something that what's something about you that we should know. But before that, you said something because I want to get to why. Like I don't know if you remember what you said.
Was it last podcast?
No, this podcast. You talking about your students. And no, I think he was like, you asked him what do you want to be or what's your career?
I said, oh yeah, because they're 13 and 14. But I just told them I came straight in because I'm expecting other mentors to be in there. But God was like, no, this your class, And when things don't go your way, how do you respond? So I just prayed. I'm like, God, give me 3 topics. Give me 3 topics to speak about. It was character. It was your purpose.
Your purpose. Okay.
Yeah, it was your purpose. And what was I forgot what the other one was. So it was purpose, and what I came straight in, like I said to y'all earlier, I hit them straight in the mouth. I just said, man, what do you think your purpose is?
Yeah.
And then you should have saw it. If y'all could see the kids' faces, man, y'all would be like, wow. Like, and I got my journal right here. It's crazy. Let me tell you specifically what some of the students were saying, bro. It's crazy. Like, these are 13, 14, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, kids, with big minds, though.
Yeah, and that all goes back. Right now I'm reading a book called The 7 Levels of Communication. 7 Levels of Communication. And I've read probably like 30 pages in it so far, but there's a common theme that I'm seeing in personal development books, and they all talk about why. Like, it starts with your why. If you don't have a strong enough why, you're not going to do what it takes to be successful. So, I mean, one thing, another application that we all can take from this podcast is to figure out what's our why. And my why is I have a family. I have a wife who a daughter and a soon-to-be son that's dependent on me to provide. I have a mom. I have a dad. I have brothers, sisters who are waiting for me to become the person that God called me to be, so I can get them out the hood. Our why is to provide financial education, literacy to the inner communities, because growing up, that was not given to us. So knowing your why is very important. That's what's going to keep you focused and allow you to persevere through the journey, because the journey is hard.
Mm-hmm. And I love what he dug right into what I was already thinking about your why. Like, y'all know my why, of course, Jesus Christ and Wesley. But your why, I want to talk. Did you hear about those 2 NFL players who they just got drafted last year? And they were arrested for 8 counts of robbery and assault.
No, that's crazy.
That's because they don't have a why. They were trauma because they're from the ghetto. They're from the hood where they grew up a hard way. And obviously, you like to hear we hear it all the time when young men make it to the league. They say they doing it for their mom. No, you're not. Like, stop that lying. Like, a lot of young men say that. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not doing it for your mom, because with that type of behavior you got and that type of attitude you got, that don't seem like somebody that's doing it for their mom. It really don't. It really doesn't. So when you got all of that, that's why I say money. That's why I always tell y'all, like, it's character over anything, because you can have all that money and you can get to a certain position in your life. And a lot of y'all want to go to certain levels in your life. Y'all asking God to make y'all this, or allow him to help y'all make that much money, this much money, or be in this type of relationship, but you're not ready for any of that. Your character, honestly, is horrible. It's not ready for any of those positions that you want in life. Like, for real, a lot of y'all want $1 million and blow it. For real, what you gonna do with that $1 million? Like, a lot of y'all just talk about y'all family. Like, my mindset always been, anybody can get this wisdom. Anybody can get this inspiration. When I think about money and passing it down to people, I don't think about just my family. I'm like, bro, that's selfish. Why would I just think about my mom? Why would I just think about my brothers and sisters? If it's not pouring over to other people that you never even met, that you don't know, you're not really inspiring nobody. Because that's the basic society thought. My mom, my family, I want to help them get out the ghetto. Okay, who else do you want to help? you making 20 million, but you don't even know, like, a lot of that not even for you. That's not even for you. So once you get to a certain level, they said, what's his name, bro? Jeff Bezos. They said he gonna be worth
Amazon.
26. I mean, he gonna be worth $1 trillion by 2026.
Dang.
Like, nobody needs to be worth that much. Cause if you worth that much, first of all, you need to give 80% of it away. Like, a lot of the money you make, and I ain't said I want to make 50 mil so I could splurge on myself. I want to make 50 mil so I could splurge on everybody else. Like, for real. So the Bible also says, like, in the day of wrath, wealth is worthless. Because when God come to judge you, like, he not going to be like, oh, you had this, you have valuable possessions, you had this. Even character, like, that's barely going to get you by.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The way you treated people, though, and the way you looked at everything, that might get you by. I'm not God, so I can't say how his thoughts is. But all that materialistic stuff y'all striving for, y'all need to stop. Like, it's nothing wrong with that, because I want house cars and all that. But that's like the least of my worries, because I know it's just going to come eventually with my success. And, yeah, so you got to just dig, man, and change that perspective. Them thoughts that scare you and make you nervous the most, those are the ones that's really trying to make you grow. So don't run from them.
Yeah. And I haven't I'm in the process of coming up with my finance foundations, my 5 or 7 steps to finance foundation. But I know my first step, and that is eternal life. Like, that's the foundation. So before we want to build wealth, before we start investing in stocks, before we start putting our money into IRAs, 401ks, so on and so on, our foundation is eternal life, right? It's placing your life in the hands of the only person, the only being that won't let you down, right? Since I was a baby to I'm 25 now, I'll only been able to count on one person through everything I've been through. That's been there for me the whole time. That's Jesus Christ. That's the foundation. And then I know second is having a emergency fund, which is very important now, as we can see. Right, so like my wife Jordan was talking about. It wasn't Jordan. It was I forgot who was talking about. It may be you, but I was talking to somebody, and we was talking about how, I mean, I feel bad for people who are going through hard time right now financially, but
That's your fault.
What were you doing before COVID? Like, were you not saving? Were you not putting money aside for emergency fund? Right, so that's very important for everyone to do. And for a tip that you can actually apply is to put aside 10% and 10% of wherever you get, even if it's a gift. If somebody give you $100, your birthday coming up, somebody get $100, put $10 away and you spend the 90. And that, how they say in the old days, was saying you want to save for a rainy day. And right now we're having a rainy month as we speaking today. Governor Whitmer, she just extended the stay-at-home order to June 12th. So all the people who going through hard times financially, man, it even got bigger of a burden over you. But it all go back to what Marquand was saying about material things and wealth and money. It's okay to strive for those things 100%, only if you have foundation number 1 set, and that's eternal life, right? So at the eternal life, you can build upon that. But if you try to build wealth, your savings account, your stocks, your investments, and it's not built on a hard foundation, you're building on sand, right? It's gonna crumble. It's gonna crumble. It's gonna crumble. And there's a verse in the Bible. I don't know what exact verse it is, but all of our works will be judged by fire, right? And basically, what it's saying is, if I know in a science class in high school, our teacher will have us try to build like the highest a statue or creation with, you had sticks, you had marshmallow, you had some rubber bands, some other stuff, and a lot of times most students couldn't do it. Like, it was a hard task. A lot of times students will build something very high, but it will fall before the teacher could judge it because it had a bad foundation, right? So, and in that sense, the foundation would be the marshmallows, because it was sticky. So you can take it apart and put it between the sticks. And so in that case, the marshmallows is eternal life, right? So without the marshmallows, without eternal life, your what you build is going to fall down. So it's very important to have foundation number one, which is eternal life. So that's key. That's the most important thing that we say this whole podcast, man. So
The foundation is everything.
yeah, foundation. Cause you don't have that cause like it made me think. Cause like a lot of people know that I'm into like money and finance, and a lot of people in the internet community, a lot of people are thrown off by like my mom. She got mad at me. She was like, she was like, yeah, but money can't get you to heaven, or money can't save you. And me, I already know this, but it's because I didn't do a good job of
interpreting.
Delivery. Yeah, I didn't get a job delivering to her that the foundation is eternal life. I already had that, so I'm right now. I'm gonna say the building. I'm gonna say the building, right? So I already have eternal life. So right now I'm building. But if I didn't have eternal life, then everything I'm doing is gonna crumble when it's time to come. And I was thinking about that, bro. That's true misery, bro. It's like, say, okay, you get a high paying job, you make $500,000 a year or something. Maybe $500,000 a year, you got the car, you got the houses, and you traveling all the time, right? And then as we all get older, 65, you know what I'm saying, your retirement account fully funded, got 10 million there. But through this whole process, whole journey, you're missing something. It's not going to truly fulfill that something in your heart. So you get everything that life can give you, and you still like have that empty spot in your heart.
People feel it because a lot of the time, money. When you make money, the main focus, bro, you missing out on your purpose. Because your purpose, like when we talked about Solomon last week, y'all need to understand that. Like, listen to this. When we talked about Solomon last week, Solomon didn't ask for no materialistic stuff when God asked him to give him whatever he want, grant him whatever he wants. Solomon said wisdom and knowledge. And because Solomon said wisdom and knowledge, God replied since you did not ask for the destruction of your enemy, you did not ask for wealth or any of this, I'm going to give you all of that too. So that's saying that, when you use your gift, when you use what brings you the most joy, when you use what's impacting people the most, all of that's going to fall like nothing. Like, that's going to be easy. Like, all that money is going to be like on trees, bro. It's going to seem like you planting money trees, like, for real.
Yeah.
That's really how it is, because the foundation has to be set. So when me and Brian go out, like, bro, I'm bold in my role in life as a leader. I'm bold. Like, I don't hide nothing. Like, I don't care. You can hold me accountable for everything. I'm not going to run from the truth. Sometimes it might hurt me still. I might not like hearing the truth sometimes still, but I'm like, oh, this is a moment of growth, Queasy. Like, I can feel as we doing this podcast right now, this is a moment of growth. When we cut this camera off and we talk about the critiques and the way we can speak next time and be delivery better next time, like we said, we gonna learn more on this podcast than y'all gonna learn. And I honestly believe so, because we know what our foundation is. We're not doing this for money. We doing this because we want to give information to you, because we know how many people are lacking that's watching this podcast right now, that are lacking mentally and that are lacking from perspective.
Yeah,
right?
Lack of perspective. And with that, you said a couple of jewels. You had 2 jewels that I want to really want to have people apply. So the first one, you said it'll be like you really planting money trees.
Yeah.
And the real money tree is people.
Yeah.
Is a person, is a people, and it's through the relationships that you have that comes true wealth, right? So it says, as a wise man once told me, your net worth is your net worth, right? So based on people who know you and how well they know you and who they know will determine your success. And that's really speaking to my entrepreneurs, right? Because like a lot of us, we in the business of people, right? So and that's a lot of people out there who even sell drugs. You're in the business of people, right? You deal with people, but the product can change, but the real money is in the people. So I want to encourage people to build deep relationships. That's very important. That's something that we're doing.
More important than anything.
Yeah, and that's something we're doing together right now. We started a Bible plan on the Bible app, and it's free to download. And it's called Networking Kills, right? Networking Kills, because a lot of people will try to network for only a business transaction, a business gain. Like, yeah, I'm gonna network this with this millionaire because he got a lot of money.
They don't care about that person, though.
Right? They don't care about him. So what I'm realizing is the best way to network is to actually build a relationship with that person and get to know him or her on a personal level, and see if you can add value to that person personal life, not just on the business transaction. So I really encourage people to build deep relationships, and then go back to the are we saying that's a money tree. So by you doing that, you're gonna receive money, gifts, relationships, vacations. Like you're gonna be doing stuff you never thought you were doing. And that go back to my last point that he was talking about, which is a spiritual law. It's a spiritual law, and if you follow it, it'll work. And it's if you give, you'll get. Right? If you give, you'll get. And how you said, we don't do this for money, but on the other hand, by us giving free game, God gonna bless us in ways that we can't even explain.
I'm trying to tell y'all this. Y'all need to listen to these podcasts because in a couple of years, this information ain't gonna be free.
Yeah.
Like we doing it for free, but as God's people and knowing our worth, we know this stuff we giving out worth lots. Like, cause it's coming from our alignment, you know, what's aligned. So this ain't gonna be free. So all of this, y'all need to take it serious and not just listen, because a lot of people listen to stuff, right, bro?
Right.
They don't write nothing down. Yeah. You ever talk to somebody and you be like, people at church, let's say that. People at church, they be like, yeah, the pastor preached a fire sermon.
It was good.
And I'm like, what was it about? And they like, yeah, I don't really remember, but I know it was fire though. I know it was fire though. I'm like, oh, okay, because you wasn't really being taught. You were being taught, but you didn't do on your behalf what you were supposed to do. When you write stuff down, it's the power. Like everything you look at is typed out, but it's there, right? Picture, it's taken, it's there, right? Instagram, like all your pictures you see, it's there. It's embedded.
It's physical.
Yeah, you can see it. You know, so long as you can go back to that, what you tell me, bro, right? What do you say, the 30-day challenge about writing down your goals?
Yeah, write on every day. Write your goals on every day.
Write your goals down every day and reread them every day. The same goals, you know, because that will remind you to that you need to be on your stuff. And you shouldn't be doing activities that's not aligned with where God calling you to be at the end of the day. So even with what he said about relationships, it's very key because like in the church, as a speaker, as a singer, you got to realize you can't talk to everybody the same. So the reason you're not convicting a lot of people is because you talking to everybody the same way. You can't. You doing it. You want to just hear yourself speak. You need to do it on somebody else's behalf sometime. So what I realized as a speaker, I'm like, yo, I can't bring that aggressive tone with everybody. Some people I got to come coddle and baby a little bit for them to understand,
right?
You know, and that's just part of communication and building relationships with people.
And this is a life skill podcast, right? So we want to encourage people to become the best version of themselves by us and them attaining and learning and applying life skills. And today, like we're talking about having a perspective, your perspective is everything. I said before, we don't see the world as it is, but we see the world as we are. So our lens, the way we see the world will influence how we see what we go through. And today I posted a post on Instagram, very transparent, and I was talking about how I grew up being part of two broken families. I grew up seeing my mom get abused. I grew up, going through it all. Really, like I had every excuse to say, man, I've been through this, so I can go out here and commit crime. I can go out here and do what I want because I've been through it. But I use that as motivation to keep going. But I only was able to do that because of the lens that I seen the world through.
Out of that 50 millimeter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, man, I definitely encourage you on your journey. And where you at? We all start somewhere. I always say that because we all start somewhere. Like me, I started in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas. See mom get abused. I end up here. Some people might start, and I'm saying, in a home with both moms and dads. It don't matter where you start. It matter where you finish. Right. So I encourage you wherever you are on your journey, keep pushing, keep going. There's somebody out there that's depending on you, and I'm depending on you to become the best version of yourself. Because that's a goal for all people, right? We want to see everybody to succeed in life, and we're just doing our part for those who are for those who are put here and God called us to lead, that's what we're doing. We're trying to lead the people that God called us to lead. So I definitely encourage you, keep pushing, and I'm free to reach out. Contact me, message me, and I get back to you. So I'm all for it, man.
Yeah. Big amen to what Brian just said, man. I love y'all tremendously. We love y'all tremendously. That's why we do this. Like I always say, I'm going to keep a reminder. I didn't like people 7 years ago. I didn't like dealing with people. I was not a talker. I was quiet. Like I said, I only spoke when it was time to say something. I wasn't just talking. I was saying something. And I see why I'm a speaker today and I'm a leader today, because impact has always been at the bottom of my heart. And we love y'all. We just pray that y'all continue to focus on character and focus on perspective today. And this podcast, we wanted to talk about boundaries, but when God tell you to speak on something, we got to listen, right? So next podcast, we're going to dig deeper into boundaries. We want to help y'all in that, and self-discipline, because self-discipline is key. That's key above all. So yeah, this is BeThe1 podcast. See y'all later. Keep tuning into these podcasts and getting great information, and write this stuff down and apply it in your life. Let's go.
Make it plain, baby.
Amen.